Chris Galluci. Child tearaway, collector of weapons, and one-time infamous hellraiser. Shot, stabbed, and beaten, Chris has survived a turbulent past. And he owes his salvation to another thick-skinned survivor.
That's nice, Timbo.
Meet Timbo, the 5-ton film star who stole the biker's heart.
I have the personality of an elephant. He has the personality of me.
A Harley biker turned elephant man, Chris was the only one willing to take the elephant on its own terms. This is the story of how two unlikely friends saved each other's lives. A story of machines and monsters, of tusks and tattoos. After spending much of his life on the run, Chris Galluci has finally found himself in the wilds of the Mojave Desert. This quiet corner of Southern California is home to an unusual wildlife haven called Shambhala. For Chris, it feels good that now the only confinement he has to live within is there to protect the wild animals that he looks after.
I live with an elephant lives with me. I walk with an elephant walks with me. I hang out with him, he hangs out with me. We relate and we both understand each other. So it's an understanding thing.
Having spent the best part of 30 years together, Chris and Timbo have taken on each other's personalities. He has a bond with the elephant that very few animal trainers ever achieve.
What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Huh? What do you think?
But Timbo hasn't always played Mr. Nice Guy. As a young bull, he was the elephant equivalent of a teenage delinquent. Maybe this is why Chris was able to relate to him. Three decades on, Timbo must know he's onto a good thing here at Shambhala. Incredibly, for a male African elephant living in captivity, he is rarely chained up and is allowed to roam free. And that's all down to Chris and the unique way he's taken on this enormous burden of care.
Hello, Timbo. Good morning.
Timbo is 46 years old. He weighs 5 tons, 10,000 pounds. He's the oldest and the largest African bull in the United States.
Timbo, come here. Move up.
Many people have asked Chris how he's done it.
Move up. I don't know really, honest and truthfully, what the magic is or what the secret is, because I've read a lot of elephant books. I've watched a lot of people with elephants, and it didn't give me anything. So I think the secret was dedication. That's the whole magic. That's the secret, is you have to do it from your heart. You have to really do it. You can't pretend to do it.
Chris completely gave up his former life to live here on this reserve with Timbo. A few trailers are the only clue that there's a settlement. Passers-by would never guess that the lord of the manor is a mighty tusker. Timbo looks every bit the gentle giant. But don't be fooled by the placid exterior. this is still 5 tons of bulk that could do a lot of damage if it wanted to. Chris has learned that letting Timbo get his own way some of the time is a surefire method for keeping him in good spirits.
Out here, I follow him. He doesn't follow me until we go back. But when we come out here, I follow him so he gets to do whatever he wants to do. So we trade roles, we switch places. So here I get to study him and just see what he does, how he does it, and you learn so much about him. You learn his body language, you learn just how he acts naturally. So then if you have an unnatural situation, you can tell what he's gonna do just by watching him.
Male elephants can tend to be unruly and enjoy testing the boundaries of acceptable behavior. Chris makes this look easy, but running head-on into 5 tons of annoyed elephant is not for the faint-hearted or the inexperienced. Incredibly, Chris uses nothing but his voice to calm Timbo down. It was a woman who brought this man and elephant together. Film star Tippi Hedren has been a lifelong friend to the duo. She founded the Shambhala Preserve when she realized that she loved animals even more than the silver screen. In 1975, Tippi embarked on a life-changing experience when she starred in a movie called Raw, alongside dozens of wild animals, and her daughter, Melanie Griffith. Timbo was also on set, as he'd been picked for the role of leading Hellraiser. The film would have a huge impact on the lives of everyone involved.
At times it was so scary, and I look back at it and I just marvel that we all survived, that nobody was killed. I really do. It's a miracle.
Chris Galluci, former wild child, and Timbo the elephant, former movie star, seem unlikely friends. Timbo was destined for a life in chains, but Harley biker Chris came along and changed all that. Little did Chris know that Timbo would in fact save his life too.
I never went to school, man. My parents were divorced, and I left home when I was 12 years old and started living on my own. And the first time I went to an adult jail, I was only 16 years old. So then I just played the man thing and grew up way too fast, way too fast. I would always get in trouble. I kept getting arrested and kept going to jail and kept getting in fights and kept just getting busted all the time. All the time. It's a whole cool thing, man, you know, be cool and get a chopper and drive around America and raise as much hell as you possibly can and see how much trouble you can get away with. I've been shot, I've been stabbed, I've been beaten up and left for dead. The morals of those days is to show no weakness. You can show, that's it right there. That's the rules, that's the morals. That will get you through to the next day.
This attitude may have helped him to connect with the elephant, but Chris is convinced that the most important things to give to Timbo are kindness and respect.
I know what it's like to be kicked when you're down. I know what it's like, and it sucks. It sucks. I know what it's like to have your freedom taken away. It sucks. I know what it's like to be chained up. It sucks. So I also know what it's like to have fun, to be free, to have no problems. That feels good.
Every day at Shambhala starts with a walk around the preserve. Owner Tippi Hedren likes to take time out to join Chris and Timbo on their excursions.
go. Move. Move up. Move.
Shambhala's now a refuge for dozens of exotic animals that, like Timbo, were unwanted pets or animal performers. Part of the movie set from the 70s is still here. This is where Chris and Tippy first met. This old house was supposed to be where Tippy's screen family lived in Africa, surrounded by dozens of dangerous wild animals.
Oh no, what happened?
This was like the living room. There was a kitchen over here and bedrooms over here, and there was bedrooms up there, so it was made to look like a house.
This is where the lion runs around and chases at us upstairs there.
At one time, I mean, there would be 20 lions up here and 20 lions over here and 2 tigers over here and cougars and leopards over here, and the whole place was just stuffed full of animals. And then they'd say, roll the cameras, and just bring in the cameras, and then the cats would start fighting, and they'd start breaking through the banisters, and the whole place was like a bomb. It'd just explode.
As a talented welder, 21-year-old Chris got lucky when he landed a summer job on set. He then found his true calling, animals, particularly the movie's biggest star.
Timbo is an African elephant, so they were filming the movie in Africa, or supposedly in Africa here, but this set. So then the African elephant fit in perfectly fine. There's scenes in the movie where Timbo broke Tippy's leg one day accidentally just by picking her up, but she sort of slipped and her leg got broken.
I've never done a film before that you actually are frightened when you're filming. Never. It's pretty interesting.
In 1979, after 5 fantastic years, filming ended. It was a time for the actors, animals, and crew to move on. But Chris had discovered a new life, the family he'd never had, and he wasn't prepared to let go. Tippy and Chris hatched a plan.
We would have these meetings with her and go, well, what are we going to do? And you know, we can't just get rid of all these animals. All of us sort of fell in love with these animals.
So Tippy set up a shelter for the animals used in the film.
Then our whole philosophy changed, and it just turned into, we're going to make these animals have a beautiful life, the best we can give them.
The movie lights and cameras may be long gone, but Timbo still draws in the crowds. He has outlived all but one of the original animals in the cast. You could say he enjoys a celebrity lifestyle. Private spa pool, personal trainer on call 24 hours a day, and an ever-adoring public. Life is good. Everyone here benefits from the Hollywood connection, which is vital as Shambhala depends on the goodwill and support of its visitors. And it's not just the animals whose lives have been changed for the better through knowing Tippy.
Chris can literally call Melanie Griffith and Antonio Banderas friends, especially Melanie, because when we were doing the movie, it was 5 years, you know, in the making. Lucy Liu has come out, Cameron Diaz. Tom Cruise brought his whole family. They came in 3 helicopters. That was pretty awesome.
The star factor is lost on Timbo, though. As far as he's concerned, his stomach always comes first.
Sophie Loren one day comes out here and she wants to see Timbo, and all of a sudden everybody's panicking, and I'm looking around going, what is the problem? And they go, well, Sophie lost her phone book. And I'm going, what do you mean she lost her phone book? And she goes, they're going, she had this little phone book. And I look over at Timbo, and he's going, and I'm looking at these people, and I'm looking at the elephant, and I went, oh my God. And I go, Timbo, open your mouth. And I went, he just ate your phone book. But she left it somewhere, and he reached over and grabbed it, and so he ate Sophie Loren's phone book, you know?
Hi.
For Chris and Tippy, it's been an incredible friendship.
She's the Hollywood actress. I'm the biker elephant trainer. Two totally different personalities. He'll love them from you. But that's why I've gotten along with her so well, is she lets me be me.
Hey, look what I got for you. Oh, yummy. All right. How's that? Good. Oh, perfect. Save that piece there. You want them both at the same time? Oh, wow. Pretty good.
Take them out, don't rip the pocket.
Oh.
Tippy had the foresight and trust in Chris to let him become Timbo's trainer and carer.
Timbo!
Where you going?
Timbo! Timbo!
Back in the 70s, Timbo was aggressive and unruly. When not on set, he was kept in chains. When the official elephant trainer left, Chris wanted the job. He believed he could look after Timbo in a way that would give the elephant back its freedom. Chris had to resort to some pretty insane methods to convince everyone that he was up to the job, despite having no formal training. One night, he chained himself up and spent several days like that next to Timbo. It looked like a mad stunt, but it had a real purpose.
How can I ever know what it feels like, what they're thinking, what it really is to be an elephant, unless you act like one, unless you really put yourself in their situation?
Tippy was won over, and Chris got the job.
I think that's the best thing that could have happened for Timbo, because what Chris did was literally move in with him and try to figure out who this being is. What does he need?
Chris instinctively knew what he had to do.
So since I got this elephant, then I'm going to make it my own personal quest to give him as much freedom as I can.
Giving freedom to a potentially dangerous animal isn't a decision to be taken lightly. As a teenager, Timbo enjoyed chasing cars and anything else that would oblige by running away. Much like a naughty child, displays of aggression seem to give young elephants an ego boost. But elephants are rarely born psychotic. It's well documented that confining an animal that is naturally gregarious results in boredom and frustration. By giving Timbo freedom, Chris has brought out the elephant's gentle nature. But no human trainer can instruct an elephant entirely. Timbo's personality is a mix of hormones, life experience, and inherited memory. Winning him over was no easy task. Chris had to start at the very beginning. And that has meant spending a lot of time together, one-on-one. Two long walks a day, covering up to 10 kilometers, adds up to a lot of steps over the past 30 years.
Come here.
With every step, Chris and Timbo have fallen more and more into sync with one another, although it's not always clear who's in charge.
Timbo! Timbo!
Now both in their 40s, the level of genuine companionship they share is obvious.
What are you in such a hurry for? What are you
In the
such a
wild,
hurry for?
young bulls develop a sort of hero worship for high-ranking males and learn very early on to respect authority. Could it be that Timbo sees Chris as his mentor?
You have fun. Stay out here today.
Timbo's happy. This is his favorite tree. The daily outings to the wilderness that borders the preserve is a chance for him to relive the freedom he enjoyed as a baby in Africa. And to think that if he hadn't been selected to star in the movie where he met Chris, Timbo might never have known freedom again.
He likes it. It's good for him. It's his playground. It's his yard. He can act like an elephant. Out here, he can do anything he wants to do. So inside the ranch, he has to mind his manners. So that's how I get him to obey and behave real good, because I let him have his time where he can do anything he wants to.
Chris is only too aware how captive elephants elsewhere have their freedom taken away. Kept in cramped conditions, permanently on chains, and repeatedly beaten and abused into submission, it's little wonder that these animals eventually snap and turn on their handlers. Ironically, when this happens, it's the elephant that gets the bad press. Timbo is one of the lucky ones. Chris sees no need to use force.
Move up. Move up. Move up. This is an elephant hook. Some people can abuse it, or some people can use it. All this is a tool.
Timbo, hold it. Hold it.
Imagine what you can do with a chainsaw. I mean, you could do some bad damage, but you can also take that chainsaw and that hammer and build yourself a house. So if you use the tool properly and do not abuse the tool, then it's okay.
Come here. Timbo.
All this is something that will just go, come here, go over there, come here, but I don't use it like a hammer, and I don't use it like a saw.
Move up.
His master's voice is more effective than any weapon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chris takes an almost parental approach towards Timbo, but he also knows it wouldn't be wise to get too complacent.
These animals are volatile. Their instincts are something that we have no control of, no matter what good a friend we are to them. They cannot be trusted at all, not for a minute.
Timbo. Come
Timbo
here.
has both intelligence and memory to match his size, but as Chris puts it, he's pretty confident the elephant isn't harboring any grudges towards him. Timbo is not, however, a total pushover.
Timbo! Get up here. Come here. Timbo! Move up. Move up.
There are still days when
Move
Chris
up.
has to work hard to prove he's the boss.
Move up. Move up.
He has his own personality,
Move up.
and he can
Timbo.
get very mean. He can get, real dangerous. He's an African bull, and so then he's actually the most dangerous animal on the ranch.
Not long after Chris started out as an elephant trainer, he also had a second elephant, a female called Cora. Timbo and Cora seemed to share a love-hate relationship, and just like the parent of a couple of unruly children, Chris sometimes had to jump in and sort out arguments.
One night, Timbo's loose and he's beating up Cora. Well, I just jumped on his head and grabbed a hold of his ear and trying to get him off of her because he's stabbing her and putting holes in her. And he stood up, and when he stood up, I'm hanging from him. I'm 12 feet in the air hanging off this elephant with a steel wall in between me. And then I just yelled at him, put me down, and he let his head down and he put me down, and I told him, get back, and he got back. And then I started realizing, okay, he's understanding, because I didn't run in there with like a big electric prod and electrocute him and all of this stuff. I did it just like an elephant would.
Chris himself took a few knocks in the process.
He split my eyebrow open, he stepped on my toe and exploded my toe. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. He started realizing that this guy is one of us.
After more than 20 years looking after his 2 elephants, tragedy struck. Suddenly, without warning, Cora died.
Oh, it was such a shock when Cora died that as with any one of us, how do we know how long you're going to live? I fully expected Cora to live into her 60s. And it was such a horrible, horrible shock for all of us. I don't know that we'll ever get over it.
Cora's death hit Chris harder than anyone. Since then, his bond with Timbo has become stronger than ever. Timbo has become Chris's family, although the friendship comes at a huge personal price for Chris.
I don't beat him, I'm not mean to him, I don't treat him bad, but I also don't leave him. I haven't left. And I think that's the magic. That's when you get him to accept you into his life. He knows that I'm giving up my life for him.
But has the sacrifice sometimes been too great?
I didn't even go to my own father's funeral. And am I a terrible person for doing that?
When Timbo dies, Chris will have to face up to a life without his elephant. After his bull elephant, there's still one major love in Chris Galluci's life, and that's his Harley Davidson. Chris spent most of his youth on a bike, and it's something that seems to stay in the blood. He may have given up the biker lifestyle, but he'll never give up his Harleys.
It's the whole feeling, it's the sound, it's a way of life. You know, I can't ride something else. I wouldn't ride something else. It has to be a Harley, and it has to be a chopped Harley. I'm uncomfortable on stock bikes. I've always ridden a chopper, and so I've always had my front wheel out there, and it's always been crazy to ride, but I'm comfortable that way. I mean, the bigger and the louder and the more outrageous, the better. And then your adrenaline just starts pumping and pumping and pumping, and you get on this thing, and it's outrageous. It's insane. It's insanity. It's insanity in black and chrome. That's the difference between a Harley and another motorcycle. I can make the lions roar.
And talking of big, noisy monsters,
He's broken out of his yard before and knocked over the outhouses, knocked over the picnic benches. He broke the cheetah cage and the cheetah got out, and he was just having fun. So you can't just let him go
because he would go to the railroad tracks, he would go down the road and tear up everybody's car. He would raise hell.
You want a piece of candy? Timbo, want a piece of candy?
Living on the Shambhala Preserve has seen both elephant and trainer become reformed characters.
Go do something.
Chris is now manager of all the animals here, a job that seems to suit him perfectly, and continues to play to his love of all things huge and powerful.
Hi, Patrick. This is Patrick. He's a Tigon. He's half lion and half tiger. And he's really cool because look how big he is. So I like him. His name's Patrick, but I call him Hercules just because look at the size of this guy. He's bigger than normal. But he's half lion and half tiger. And tigers love the water. Lions really don't like the water, but lions roar and tigers don't roar. He stands in the water and roars, and so he's really a trip. But he's a monster.
Patrick lives alongside about 60 cheetahs, lions, and tigers. As you might imagine, with Chris in charge, the rule that bigger is better also applies to the animal enclosures. But size doesn't seem to matter when it comes to his own living quarters.
First, I was living in a tent down by Timbo in the summertime. Then when winter came, I stayed in a little tiny trailer, and I hated the trailer. It was too small. So I built the living room, and then I decided, well, I'm going to live here. So I built the living room, and then I was sleeping on the couch. And so then I figured, well, I better build a bedroom. So none of this was planned. So then I thought, well, I better build a closet. And I built it around this tree. And before, the tree was a little bit smaller, so it worked real well. But then as the tree grew, it started moving the walls. And so I figured it's not such a good idea to build your house around a tree, but I did it anyway. And there's a tree in my house.
That's what you call organic living. It may sound chaotic, but as with everything Chris does, there's method in the madness.
I sort of surround myself in things that I like. Then when I wake up in the morning, you know, I just wake up in an environment that I choose. Real late at night when you're sleeping and the lions roar, when they're all roaring, these vibrate against the walls. The lions are going roar, roar, and you can hear these things going roar, roar. So the whole place sort of vibrates when the lions roar.
Is staying so hands-on the secret as to why Timbo is so even-natured compared with most bull elephants? With no other elephants on the ranch, perhaps Timbo sees Chris as the leader of the herd. But Timbo is still wild inside. The fact he's retained his natural behavior is proof that he could turn on Chris if he wanted to. Timbo chooses to let Chris call the shots. Arriving at this mutual respect has meant Chris losing touch with almost everyone else in his life he's been close to. In the last 30 years, Chris has barely spent a night away from his beloved elephant.
Friends, wives, family, I gave up to be with the elephant. I gave all of that up. Hell, I've worked here for 28 years, and I don't have no big retirement fund. I don't have nothing. So it's not about money. It's about what happens to you when you get a connection with the biggest animal that walks the face of the earth.
As life choices go, This is one that Chris has to admit has been incredibly fulfilling.
Timbo's answers are simple. That's what I like about him. It's not difficult and it's not complex. His answers are, I need food, I need water, I need exercise, I need to have fun, so help me do it.
See, this is one of the funnest parts. This is called Find the Elephant. I'm serious, this is one of my most enjoyable parts of doing this. It's like, turn him loose, not know where he is, now find him. Who else gets to go find an elephant? Timbo! 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 Timbo!
Timbo could be hiding anywhere in the 30 hectares of desert scrub surrounding the ranch. Today, he's found a spot behind one of his favorite snacks, a clump of goldenrod.
Come here. Come here. Timbo.
Chris finally catches up with him. Timbo is happy to fall in and be led back to the ranch.
Timbo. Come here. Come here. Timbo, come here. Come here. Timbo. Timbo, come here.
Seeing man and elephant together like this, it's hard to imagine just how far both have come.
Timbo!
Gone is the antisocial elephant that might have been a danger to others.
Come here!
And gone too is the young
here.
delinquent biker. The Chris of today, the mild-mannered, philosophical animal lover, is the real Chris. Tippy instinctively knew this right from the start.
I was never afraid of Chris. In fact, he became such a good friend, and he has been such a real stabilizer for me. I have such respect for him and what he has done with this magnificent animal. He's a rock of Gibraltar.
And not all of the old Chris has gone. In his inimitable style, he has turned his hobby as a knife maker into an award-winning art form.
This here, I made this when you're in jail in America, they call it a shiv, and people make knives, you know, in prison or jail to protect themselves. Well, so then I made this one just because I know what it's like there, and this is like the ultimate penitentiary shiv. These two here, this is Timbo's ivory and this is Cora's ivory. And when they break their ivory, I never cut it or anything, they just break it naturally. And so I took their ivory and the broken pieces and made these two knives, and they're twins. Everything I have has to be perfect. I don't know why. It's just my personality. My car has to be clean. My motorcycle has to be clean and shiny. And it's so difficult for me because I live out here in the dirt with an elephant. And I spend a lot of time just polishing my motorcycle, polishing knives. I mean, I spend so much time, but all of this equals elephants. The longer I sit and keep myself occupied, give me something to do, the longer I will leave him out.
But occasionally, he does find time just to chill out. Chris knows he has to start to prepare himself for the inevitable. Many captive elephants don't make it into old age. Just like Chris, Timbo is now in his late 40s. Chris has carved a memorial for the animals that have died on Shambhala. Instead of lions and gargoyles, he's given them a human face on their gravestone. But he doesn't want to be too morbid about the prospect of Timbo dying. ride on his Harley is the perfect way to escape, for a short time at least. Although his responsibilities are never far away. It's time for Timbo's evening meal. Chris and his assistant, known as the other Chris, get down to the back-breaking job of preparing dinner fit for a 5-ton king.
If he's in the yard, then I try to make the yard as nice as I can for him. So this is all natural stuff that he would get in the riverbed. And yeah, he likes it. Stand the rest of the stuff up in it. So then he'll sit in the yard and he'll eat all of this, and he'll take all of the bark off of the branches, and you know, it's all healthy for him. I like the way it looks. That's all. I mean, we don't have to do this. It's just kind of nice, you know, instead of just throwing it on the ground. I just treat him, I've always treated the elephants like I want to be treated. And so I like my food to look good, so we make his food look good.
Timbo is one happy customer.
All right. All right.
The elephant is too captivated by his food to notice that a couple of chipmunks have gate-crashed the party. Timbo's daily food weighs in at 150 kilograms. Hay and leaves are his staple diet, topped up with vegetables and vitamin supplements. With Timbo occupied, Chris gets time to think. There's no escaping the fact that by rights, Timbo could be living on borrowed time. The ghosts of the past are never far away. Cora, the female elephant that used to live here, died suddenly a few years ago. If it could happen to Cora, then why not Timbo? Even an animal which looks in peak condition can become unwell without warning. Elephants may look indestructible, but they can be incredibly fragile.
One day, Timbo broke his tusk, and he broke it real bad. He cracked it, and he broke it way inside, and that's bad when an elephant does that. They get infected, and when they get infected back there, the infection can go to their brain and kill them. So you have to clean it. You know, 3 times a day, you have to clean it out and dig out all the pus. Well, I get a phone call, and my father died, and they're going to have the funeral. And they were going to have the funeral in 2 days. And my sister is telling me, you've got to come to the funeral. And I said, I can't. I can't. The elephant would not let nobody else near him. So that's the problem that I have with life and with other people with this elephant, is I didn't even go to my own father's funeral. But I knew that I had to do this, and I didn't do the things that normal people would have done. So live with that.
Chris lives with it by telling himself that by staying on Shambhala, he's given Timbo a life that no one else could have given him. The fact that Timbo is now one of the oldest African elephants in the United States is testimony to the dedication and care that he receives. The elephant might have been set free. But what about Chris?
I have friends of mine that tell me, Chris, you've made your own prison. You made your own jail in the way you've made your life. You have locked yourself into these animals that you can't even get rid of it in your mind. My God, man, what a scary thought. I mean, because I'm so into freedom. I'm so into not living by rules and regulations, and I have made my own rules, my own regulations. I've taken away my own freedom, and I've done this all to myself.
But never one to be beaten, Chris has a plan for the future. As ever, he's found a way to accentuate the positive. He has kept a diary for the last 30 years, and it's no ordinary diary. His memoirs painstakingly record every detail of his life with the elephants. Could these journals hold the answer to life after Timbo?
When this is all over, I would like to teach people what I know. I think that that would be a great ending to this whole story, or a great next beginning, is to travel around and teach people that have elephants my experience that I've had with elephants over 25 years. I know a lot of things that happen with them when they get sick, things just to keep them happy, things to keep them occupied, how to read their actions, how to tell when they're having problems. I know all of that. I have all of that in my mind. So I think that when this is all over, the thing to do would be to continue with this. But I wouldn't continue with him because he'll be gone. So then I'll just continue with the elephant thing.
The elephant thing saved Chris's life. If it hadn't been for fate throwing him and Timbo together to work on that movie in the 70s, Chris might still be a lost soul. For now, Timbo is in great health, and with luck, far from death being around the corner, he could even live into his 80s. Maybe Chris will find that the world tour will just have to wait for another 30 years.
This is all dead.
Yeah.
Word has already started to spread.
Doing it on its own.
People come from far and wide to visit Shambhala and marvel at this larger-than-life duo. A biker elephant man and one of the biggest African bulls in the world. It certainly is a sight to behold.
Elephant baseball. I didn't miss one.
Him, I don't have no problems with. Watch it.
Whatever the future holds, there's no denying that for both Timbo and Chris, it's been a hell of a ride living a life of tusks and tattoos.